If you want to understand people, just sit somewhere long enough and watch them. Someone told me that a long time ago, not a professor, of course, just some random guy I used to work with at some point. And he constantly talked about how he used to sit in airports for fun back in the day. He did it sincerely, purely for pleasure, watching people, noticing how different they all used to be from each other. And one phrase he said stayed with me for a very long time after that conversation. He said that many years ago you could walk through an airport and instantly tell where a person was from. Their clothes, their energy, their hairstyle. He said everything was completely different back then. Now everybody looks the same everywhere you go. Like they all spent their entire lives buying things from the same two websites. And I am not criticizing anyone for that. I have nothing against the internet. I grew up in the internet era myself. But something about that observation hit different. It feels like everything has gradually merged into one single enormous copy of itself. Like all the different corners of the world got pushed through exactly the same filter and came out the other side looking completely identical. And yes, convenience is a genuinely wonderful thing. It is great that you can go virtually anywhere on Earth and find something familiar and recognizable. But at the same time everything just feels the same now. Every cafe looks the same. Every new apartment looks the same. Every minimalist aesthetic choice looks exactly the same as every other minimalist aesthetic choice. It is like adulthood arrives and you suddenly look around and think to yourself, wait, has life always been like this? Has it always felt this flat and interchangeable? Take apartments for example. I will show you expensive ones and they are essentially the same single room copy-pasted 400 times over. The same white walls everywhere, the same fake wood flooring. The same kitchen island that everyone somehow believes transforms them into a professional chef. I do not know why, but it does. And that starts to make you question your own sanity a little bit, because you begin to wonder whether everything has always been built from the same template, and the sad honest answer is no. It has not always been like this. What we are witnessing right now is the death of style happening in real time right before our eyes. Not because people have stopped caring about it. The care is still there, but style does not make money. Things with genuine personality and character frighten businesses. Things that actually look genuinely unusual carry the risk of not selling widely enough. And so everything gets deliberately designed to appeal to the absolute maximum number of people while having the absolute minimum number of distinguishing features. Sure, there are vintage shops around that sell vintage clothing and vintage furniture, but broadly speaking, the market is dominated by whatever is cheap, fast, and simple to produce. And that influence spreads into everything around us, including people themselves. Because honestly, a lot of people do not even really know who they are anymore. Not because they are lost in some profound existential sense, but because they are genuinely afraid. They are afraid of being too much. They are afraid of seeming strange. They are afraid of actually being themselves, out loud, in public. They do not want to be that one person who dares to look even slightly different from everybody else around them. That is exactly why everyone is wearing the same jacket, the same sneakers, the same hairstyle, the same brief personality description that fits neatly into a TikTok bio. We all want to fit in somewhere. Even those people who loudly claim they do not care about fitting in. Yes, even them. Nobody truly wants to be the only one who sticks out like a glitch in the simulation. But at the same time, what exactly are we losing when we dissolve into the crowd like that? There are probably things you have always wanted to try, skills you have been curious about, hobbies that seemed completely unexpected or unusual, things that have been pulling at your attention for years. And every single time you think seriously about actually doing any of them, something inside your head says, no. You will not make money from that. You will look stupid trying. What is the point of doing something like that anyway? And that internal voice kills off exploration. It kills curiosity. It destroys that specific part of you that used to genuinely get excited about encountering something new and unfamiliar. And if I am being completely honest, that is precisely the mechanism by which we all gradually become copies of each other. I once saw a person who had what appeared to be some kind of wooden stick contraption. I am honestly not entirely sure what it was, and he was using it as though it were a horse in some kind of recognized sport or activity. I do not know the details, but when I came across it, the comments section erupted with people absolutely losing their minds and mocking him relentlessly. But at minimum he was doing something. He was out there actually doing something different from what everyone else was doing. You know, there are people who take part in that kind of activity as a genuine sport. And it just illustrates the point clearly: if you are doing something genuinely different, if you are doing something that diverges meaningfully from what the majority of people around you are doing, you will receive negative feedback pretty much every single time. That seems to be guaranteed. But I think you can reclaim control over this. I think you can decide that you have had enough of living inside the template. Lately I have been making a real conscious effort to seek out things that have actual character to them. I do not mean that in some kind of superior hipster way, like I think I am better than everyone else. I just mean I have been experimenting with things from the past. Old music players, old video games. For instance, I bought myself a PSP, a PlayStation Portable. That device was genuinely incredible in its time. And I also have a backlit Nintendo DS. I am not claiming that makes me special or interesting in any remarkable way, but honestly it is pretty enjoyable. And yes, it is somewhat trendy to be into retro things right now. But more importantly, it actually forces you to slow down a little. When you step away from modern games and social media platforms, and everything that comes with constantly having your phone in your hand, it pushes you to focus on one single thing at a time, instead of perpetually jumping between 50 different options, all competing for your attention simultaneously. Because you have all these apps and all these choices available at every moment of the day. And the more I engage with this kind of thing, the more clearly I see something important that I think most of us struggle with. Most of us have a genuine commitment problem. And it connects directly to how we have been shaped by our environment. We try something once, maybe twice, possibly 3 times at the absolute most. And if it does not click immediately and produce results right away, we drop it entirely and tell ourselves and everyone around us that we tried it. But in reality, you did not try it. You barely grazed the surface of it. That is not a real attempt. The same exact pattern shows up with people too. We meet someone once and we instantly decide whether they are suitable to be part of our lives as a friend. And if they are not perfect and immediately impressive from the very first interaction, we move straight on to the next available option. But a lot of the people I am genuinely closest to now were people I did not even particularly like when I first encountered them. They challenged me in ways that felt uncomfortable at the time. They created a kind of friction that made me become aware of things about myself that I had not been looking at honestly. I do not mean to suggest that every uncomfortable relationship is necessarily valuable, but in those specific cases the people were clearly there for a real reason. And those are exactly the kinds of people and connections that actually help you grow into something more than you currently are, but you miss all of that completely when you isolate yourself inside your closed-off little world. When you are scared to look weird. When you refuse to talk to anyone outside your immediate circle, someone older, someone radically different, someone who does not slot neatly into your existing social group, we treat life as though we are required to select one single fixed identity and then maintain it consistently and rigidly forever. Like those old dystopian films where every person in society gets assigned a specific category at birth and that is their entire existence. That is not how any of this actually works, and the truth, the real, honest truth, is that the world is becoming more and more homogenized with every passing year. Cities are starting to look like each other, stories and narratives are becoming interchangeable, design is converging toward the same handful of templates. Which means that the actual responsibility for being genuinely different falls entirely on you personally. On the specific choices you make about style and interests and how you spend your time and attention. That is where it sits now. So decorate your room even if you are planning to move out in a year. Seriously, actually do it. Add small details and objects that reflect something real about who you are as a specific individual. Experiment with different hobbies and activities that you have been curious about. Visit places you do not normally go to. Spend time with people you would not normally spend time with. Stop dismissing people you would normally overlook entirely. Stop believing that your personality needs to perfectly match whatever happens to be trending on social media this particular week. Life is genuinely too short to spend it existing as a rough preview of your own potential self, rather than as the actual thing. Give yourself real permission to explore. Give yourself real permission to commit to something. Give yourself real permission to actually care deeply about things, even when nobody else around you seems to find those things remotely interesting or worth caring about. And when everything around you starts to feel monotonous and repetitive and indistinguishable from everything else. That is precisely the moment. That is when individuality matters the most. Not because you need to perform your identity for an audience or prove something to the people around you, but simply because being a full, actual human being in the world is extraordinary in itself. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed this. And if you want, go ahead and check out another one of my videos. Thank you.